Thank you for joining us for this episode of Take Notice, Amplifying Black Stories. I am your host, Allison Preisinger-Higgins. Take Notice, Amplifying Black Stories is a podcast exploring society, culture, and current events through conversation. We aspire to create an open, respectful, and equitable space where guests may feel free to share their truth and lived experiences. Our core values are rooted in community, connection, and personal development. Stories help us learn, relate, and grow. We are here to listen, to take notice. Thank you for being with us. I would like to show gratitude to the traditional ancestral land of the Puyallup people, past and present, on which this episode was created. I encourage listeners to research the land on which you live and are listening right now. Recognizing this is just the beginning. The more you explore, challenge, and learn, the more questions may arise, but this is how we grow and connect. On this episode of Take Notice, we welcome Lotten Yeaney. I had a wonderful time discussing Lotten's experience immigrating to the United States at a young age, the family dynamics that surrounded that move, and eventually how she ended up in Chicago. She works in tech full-time and is also a filmmaker. Her most recent release was called Breaking Bounds. It's a movie that could be ripped from the headlines, highlighting the very real possibility of persecution for a gay Ugandan national in the United States and in danger of being deported, as well as the pull and challenge of multicultural relationships. Lotten has worked in a variety of sectors, including consumer products, pharmaceuticals, oil and gas, and client services. Lotten also champions social equity through storytelling and focuses on ways to create an inclusive environment wherever she is. You'll hear all that in this conversation, so please enjoy this episode with Lotten Yeaney. All right, Lotten, thank you so much for joining me on Take Notice. How are you today? I know it's the end of your workday, so maybe you're a little worn out, but I'm glad you could join me today.
Yeah, well, I'm always pepped up when I talk about this movie. So yeah, definitely. It is the end of the day in Chicago, but I'm definitely looking forward to
Wonderful.
chatting with you, Allison.
Yeah, me too. What area of Chicago are you in?
I am right in the city. I'm in an area called Bronzeville.
Oh, okay.
It's right by the White Sox Stadium. I'm literally between the expressway and the beach and like the lake, just right there. Yeah.
Awesome. I still need to visit and explore Chicago, so I don't know much about it. So that's interesting. I'll have to look that up too.
You have like a month and a half to get here before October, in a sense, because October, you just never know what you're going to get. So
yeah, it's
August, September, we're good. But
okay,
towards the end of September, you just never know what you're going to get. Just
like much more extreme weather than out here, I imagine.
It is all over the place.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I'll get on it. Did you grow up in Chicago, or where did you grow up?
I feel like I've grown up in Chicago, but I'm originally from Liberia, West Africa. And when I came to the States, I actually moved to Portland, Oregon.
Oh, nice.
And I stayed in Oregon till like 1999, 2000. Oh, okay. And then I've been in Chicago for the last 23 years. So... Wow. I am 25. I'm just joking. So
totally.
Right. Completely. No, so that I just feel like, right. I just feel like, to be honest with you, this is really weird, but last October is when I finally made Chicago my home. I travel a lot for work. My normal job is I'm a consultant, in one of these consulting major firms. And so I spent a lot of time away from Chicago. But for some reason, I went through a really traumatic experience, and coming back to Chicago felt like home for me for the first time. And so I'm like, I live here, because I'm always like, I'm leaving, I'm going back to Africa, or I'm going to move. Every winter I'm moving, right? But it just became like my home. And there's a difference when you settle in your space, in a sense. There
really is. And that happened in the time that you mentioned can be all over the place as far as weather and all environment. So
exactly. Yeah. But everything else that was going on at that time in my life was so chaotic that this just felt like my safe space, So so it's fine. I still like it.
Wonderful. Yeah. What about it felt like the safe space?
I think when you're visiting, because some of my family members are still in Portland, Oregon. Then, of course, my family is in Liberia and Philadelphia. So I'm always kind of the one that's visiting people. And this was the first time, I guess, because of everything, the situation that happened, my family in Oregon was really a unit that was leaning on each other. And I just felt like I went to them so I can lean on them. When I came back to Chicago, it's like I had my own unit to lean on that understood my feelings of the situation that took place. So it was a tragic situation. I almost didn't feel like I was valid to feel as part of their unit because I've been away. I've been away from my family. I lost my brother, and he lives in Portland, and so I kind of felt like, I felt like that my siblings that were there, they are warranted to have that feeling of loss more so than me because I'm away. It was like a weird little, I don't know what I did. I probably need to talk to my therapist about that, but that's another day.
Right.
But I came
That's tough,
home,
yeah.
and my mother, my daughter, my brother, the ones that live with me in Chicago became my comfort and my space where I could actually mourn and feel. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because day in, day out,
Yeah.
that's your community. That's who you're seeing in person, which is, it is different when you're at a distance and being connected to be able to physically be around people, especially at such a difficult time. I'm sorry to hear about your brother. That's really hard.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. How many siblings did you grow up with?
I have a lot.
Oh, do you?
I do have a lot, but my family structure is quite interesting. I'm the only child between my mother and my father.
Okay. Yeah.
But they both, through distance and through life experiences, they both have. My father has 7 children, and my mom has like 6. So it's like there's a lot of us, and so it's I go through moments where I'm really with my father's siblings or kids, and then I'm really with my mom's kids. So it's like I'm just jumping around.
Yeah.
I guess in a sense. So that's probably why I feel that little lack of connection in a sense with one unit
that makes
versus
sense.
the other.
Yeah, because you're kind of in between, or
I'm
it
in
can
between.
feel like, maybe it sounds like,
I'm in between, and that's my life between being an immigrant or being somebody that comes from a different culture or world in a sense. I'm in between. That's been my entire experience in America, is being someone that's not quite in.
Right. What age were you when you all moved over?
I was 12, but I came by myself. Because my father was already here in the States. And then my siblings, my older siblings and my mom were still in Liberia. And, the immigration process is not swift, so I was the youngest. I was the newest, I guess, in the sense, the youngest of the kids. So I got to come first. But then about a year and a half, about a year later in 1988, no, I came in 86, 88, about 2 years later, the war broke out in Liberia. It's a civil war that lasted for 15 years. So that just kind of forced the distance and obviously stopped the immigration process of my siblings and my mom to even come to the States. So even if they wanted to, there was no way. I mean, the war was just horrible. So Liberia, Charles Taylor, I'm sure you guys have heard, blood diamonds. I mean, all those little keywords, but those are real challenges that, we lived through. But so so I was pretty young, and I came here. When I came here, my father had a family. And then so that's a whole
I see.
so
Yeah.
so it's just the immigrant story in a sense, right? It's like it's just a complex situation to find ways to maneuver and survive in a country that you don't really know about. As you find your way, and that's what he did. And I'm adult enough to know and understand some of the reasons why. But obviously, if you come and you're like 12 years old, go from like, wait a minute, who are these people?
That's a huge,
So it's
transition.
been absolutely huge transition. So,
wow.
but all of my life experiences from coming from another country, being put into another unit where I've had to adjust and have a level of patience for people or acceptance, whatever it is, it all translates into everything I do
Mm.
now, creatively, or, it's all stems from those complexities, the complexities of the complexity of my background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
complete sense. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, because you have to learn to navigate and then you see things from different perspectives as you go and all that. Yeah. How long before you came out to the States was your dad in the States? And did he come over for work or?
yeah, so great question. I was there. My father left when I was 4.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
he got a scholarship in Liberia. My father worked with some Swedish people. That's where my name Lotten comes from, by the
Ah,
way.
okay. Yeah.
Lotten is a sweet. One of my father's really good friends is from Sweden,
Mm,
and they lived in our area. And so he worked with them, teaching them about our culture, like our tribe, and the masks, of the traditional Mano people. That's our tribe.
mm,
And he was in our culture. He just was really great at communicating, and so he got an opportunity to come to school through the YMCA
mm,
in the U.S. They picked like 2 or 3, I think it's like 2 or 3 Africans from Liberia to either go to Germany, like Canada, and the U.S. or something like that through this program.
mm.
And my father picked Oregon, and I was 4 at the time. I mean, my father and I were very, very close. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So he left when I was 4, and I didn't see him till he came back to visit at 1980. So 4 years later.
Wow.
So 4 years later, he left in 78, 70, was it, yeah, 78, and then he came back 2 years later. It seemed like much longer than 2 years, but
I
he
bet.
came
Yeah.
back in 1980 to visit, and then 6 years later, I came to the States to see him. You
Wow.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's such a formative time to have that.
yeah, but my mother, the unit, my family in Liberia, I have my grandfather. I have my grandfather had 23 kids, so I have all my
Wow.
aunties and my siblings that were there. My cousins lived
Mm.
with us that were like siblings. So I miss my father, but I had such a huge community or village around me to protect me from, what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
that those years. So I got to be in a very safe space with my unit, and my
Mhm.
uncles all stepped in. Like my uncles were my father. Like, it's not my father was gone, but my uncles were right there,
Mm.
kind of taking his place. Yeah.
That's
So,
wonderful. So it wasn't like you
mhm.
were lonely or had
Yeah,
that
no.
as deeply. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, initially I did notice the gap of him leaving because I would go. It was probably I wasn't supposed to, but I would go everywhere with him, and I just
Mhm.
remember being 4 and always being with my father, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm with my grandfather or my uncles, or
Mm.
like it's just shifted,
Yeah.
but it wasn't as a huge of a shift. But I do know there was a gap there. I
Right.
remember as a 4-year old that my father left because I went to the airport with him. They gave me a Coca-Cola bottle
Mm.
to drink Coca-Cola, which I wasn't, that's like a luxury,
Sure. Yeah.
and it's like, oh yeah, your dad is about to leave, so, so they kind
Right.
of, pacified me in a sense. And
Mhm.
I think that probably protected me as well because they did pacify me once he left because they knew
Mm.
how close we were,
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
so yeah, so they stepped in
Wow.
a lot.
Yeah, it sounds
Hmm.
like. When
Yeah.
you got to Oregon, do you remember what I mean, there's many transitions it sounds like, but as far as kind of getting used to the area and Portland, and what area of Portland were you in?
I was in between Salem and Portland, so
Oh,
it's like a
oh,
very
okay.
white, what I'm saying, like in
Yeah.
1986, there wasn't as much diversity as it is
No,
now in
yeah.
Oregon, and
Right.
we were some of the first Africans there, because it's funny, like once my dad got there, others start to migrate to Portland, but
Sure.
I think it was cold, to go from Liberia to Portland, and it was
Hmm.
February,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
it was cold,
Yeah.
and it was a shocker because when my stepmother is white,
Mm.
so I go from this complete
Ah,
African space to I'm in the home with a white woman living with her and
right.
her mixed kids.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like oh, this is different.
Very different. Right.
So it was just,
Yeah.
it was a shocker on so many levels. The
Oh, wow.
weather, the country, the speech, Americans talk with that,
Mm,
like, it was, I didn't talk for probably 2 years. Like, I mean, like, in terms of not feeling comfortable speaking and not, because my accent, it was just
mm.
like, there was a lot of adjusting I had to do.
It sounds like it. That's such a difficult time too, because 12 years old, you're probably in like seventh or eighth grade
Yeah,
or
exactly.
oh,
Yeah, I had to. So actually, because of that, another thing is I had to repeat because my English wasn't good enough. They kind of assume I wasn't smart enough,
mm,
So I held back 1 year, and it was good. It worked out. I met my best friend George Jorge, this Mexican kid that we were both foreigners, like we became just besties, and he
mm.
was like my crutch, for those years. We went to school together, went to middle school together, and high school, and we're still friends to this day.
Oh,
So
that's wonderful.
that was but yeah, it was there was a lot of adjusting. I mean, I'm literally
Sure.
still in therapy,
Totally.
just stepping through.
Like, I feel like everybody should be. And also, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, correct. And also, that is a lot.
Oh my
I mean, when I
goodness.
when I talk about it, it's like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, because it's my experience, I've been able to maneuver, and
Right.
my stepmom never made me feel different. My grandparents were nurses, and one was in the war. I'm saying, my
Mm,
my grandfather, on my stepmom's side, they
hmm.
took me in. I would go to Bend, Oregon, and I'm part of, like, in the photos, their family photos. There's this little African kid. This black. I'm the only black kid in a sense. When you talk about complexion,
Hmm.
So, but they never made me feel separate, and they opened up their arms to me.
Mm.
My stepmom's family, as well as my stepmom, like, she just was so happy to have me. It was
Oh,
like yeah, she was
that's wonderful.
extremely happy to have me. And so yeah, so
Mm,
we're still very close. And my mom, as I grew up, when after the war, and when we were able to finally start to talk, my mom has talked to my stepmom, and I mean, despite the circumstances, she thanked her. My mother in Liberia thanked my mom here for taking me in and for
mm,
protecting me, what I'm saying, despite me being an outsider,
mm.
so yeah, so no complaints there. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
wonderful. Yeah.
yeah. I've been really
Wow.
lucky to have, like, some amazing people in my life, despite, like, all the strange bumps. And
Lots of
yeah.
things to navigate, but a lot of support and
Hmm.
community, it sounds like. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What was the reason that you came over to the States when you did?
Well, I think my father was, yeah, he was slowly gonna be bringing us. So the plan, what we were told,
Mm,
what
hmm.
he told us was, I would come first, and then my mom would come.
Mm, hmm, hmm.
Right. So it's just, it was just supposed to be a process. But I think when he came and realized, like, how difficult and it would be to actually bring us, he had to make adjustments as well. And he faced some challenges, being an African and being in Oregon, going to school, and really struggling, financially. It's just all the things he went through. He found a unit, like a community in a sense, and that ended up turning into a love relationship.
Hmm.
But the plan was for me and my mom to come together
Mm,
before, but the war also didn't help,
yeah.
but again, besides that, he made some decisions,
Right.
and it just he changed plans.
Right. Things
you know
happened.
Things
Yes.
happen. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And did you say that your mom is in Chicago with you now? Is that right?
Yeah, she's here. My mom has been visiting me for like 7 years. I'm like, like, she goes home, she goes to Liberia. Like, we go to Liberia on an annual basis,
Oh,
and she
nice.
might go and stay for a year, and then she'll come back. But it's
Hmm.
like, we can't say you're visiting after like 2 years. I'm like, you live here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So no, she's with me. She's downstairs. She's with me, and my daughter is here too as well.
Oh,
So we
wonderful.
love going back to Liberia just to take a break, once in a while, reset, and
Hmm.
just get grounded,
Yeah, I
you know.
imagine that must be really nice. Do you
Hmm.
still have family there, I
I have
imagine.
siblings
Yeah.
there. Yep, I have older because my father had older kids there. My brothers are still there,
Mm-hmm.
and then a couple of my mom's kids are still there too as well. My aunties. There's a million of them now, so we go and just go be in a place where we're unseen.
Mm.
Because we're still, even though we're in Chicago, it's very diverse here. We're still kind of on stage. Being of color, and so I think my daughter, she's born in America. She's first generation, and I think one of the things that she loves about Liberia is how she can just go and just be. She's
Mm.
like, everybody looks like her. I mean, like 99% of the people look like her. So she just feels there's a level of esteem, and something she can't articulate it, and I'm in my head, I'm just kind of like, I get where she's coming from, but I'm like, that's my reality. So, but since she was born here, it's just like, no, come check out Africa and you'll see. Like, so it's a she enjoys it. I mean, we do all the traffic, all the chaos is still there, right?
Mm.
Every country has its own thing, but that comfort that she gets from being in Liberia, specifically around people that look like her. Not that I mean, she's
Yeah.
here, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's just it's something that I think Black Americans, when they come to Africa, they're changed because it's the first time they've been kind of like the majority, in a
Mm.
sense. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something they've
Yeah.
never ever experienced, even in their cities where there may be more, of them. Is still like,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There's
yeah.
someone that I follow online that recently, I think last year or something, he moved to Tanzania and
Mm-hmm.
speaks about that similar experience where he can just be, and I can only imagine
Yeah,
the relief and that how that must feel. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
yeah, there's really no, I imagine, in the United States, there's really no escape, nowhere to escape it, escape,
Mm-mm.
you know,
Yeah,
some form of, I don't know, yeah, being
yeah.
the minority or seen
Mm-hmm.
as the minority, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's something I think I'm noticing more now. Like, with before, when I go back home, my Black American friends would they'll go for a holiday in, like, I think sometimes they go to like Jamaica, like they go to those
Mm.
places, you know what I'm saying? And or they want to go to Europe, something. But it's just like, now all of a sudden everybody's going to Ghana, like, I don't know if you've
Mm.
heard, but it's like Ghana has kind of opened its doors to Black Americans to come and attain citizenship. And so it's just
Oh,
like, wow, this is kind of cool. So they're
wow.
integrating more with the African side, and they're just going there. And now it's like they love to go there, and they're like, oh, I see why it's a necessity for me to at least go touch my foot on this
Mm.
place where I come from. So it's just like, so yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that makes
yeah,
complete sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How old is your daughter?
She's 27. She'll be
Oh, okay.
28 in on the 14th of this month.
Oh, nice. 2 days after my
Yeah.
birthday. We
Oh, you're
both
you're in
Leos.
August?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love August, folks. I don't know what it is, but my ex-husband was August 9th. I got married August 5th. Like, all my crushes are like
Oh,
August. Like, I'm
I
like
know, right? Something
I
about
love
it.
Leos. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love Leos.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so.
Oh, awesome. And she works
Mhm.
in Chicago and does her thing in
Yeah,
Chicago. And
she's a creative.
nice.
She paints. She's a visual artist, but she got into sailing and the boating space. I
Oh,
also
nice.
sail and things like that. And she worked as a steward on a yacht this summer.
Oh, awesome.
So that was really, of course, Chicago. It's like, that's all we do here in the summertime. So yeah, she's finding her footing.
Nice.
Still kind of maneuvering, but she's finding her
Hmm.
footing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it takes time. It takes time
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Did
Yeah.
you graduate high school in Portland, Oregon,
I did.
or?
And
Okay.
we just had our 30th
Oh, wow.
year last Saturday, but I missed it, and
Woohoo.
everybody's like texting. I feel
Oh.
so bad.
Oh.
But yeah, so but George didn't go, my best friend. He was in Vegas, but I mean, I would, if I had gone and he didn't go, I would have been like completely hurt. But I get to see him. I go to Oregon to visit him. But so
Nice.
yeah, so I graduated high school in a place called McNary. It was actually in Salem, Oregon, McNary High School, and I graduated university here in Chicago, at DePaul. So
Oh, okay.
I was a late graduate on the college side, kind of got my job and thought that was all I needed,
Mm-hmm.
working in IT and, like, oh, I'm making a lot of money, but I still kind of felt the need to complete my degree. So I finished at
Sure.
DePaul here in
Oh, okay.
Chicago.
Nice. And that's what you got your degree in is IT or?
No, I
Oh,
was
okay.
a project manager. Like I got a business/project manager
Oh.
degree, nothing to do with IT at all. Um, yeah,
Do you think that served you well moving forward?
IT, yes, it did. Like
Mm.
IT specifically, absolutely. Yeah, IT has been another one of these things where, obviously it's not a lot of women in that space, but
Mm.
I just liked it and kind of just enjoyed it and I was good at it, I guess, so I've just stayed in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So my solid, like I'm one of these people that I have a solid full-time job, but I'm also, an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But it's just my responsibilities. I just don't have the luxury of a gap, right? Or any, like, just I have, some responsibilities with my family that I need to just maintain. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been grateful to do both. My job has afforded me to be able to do the films, all my projects, both my movies and being able to travel, like all the things that's exposed me to just even a bigger world has came through my career.
Mm.
So I don't it's hard, to do both, but it's like my escape is my creative side, but I'm working,
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great combination. Even though sometimes doing both can be, I imagine, overwhelming or exhausting.
It can be
It's nice to be
exhausting.
able to one feeds the other kind of thing.
It truly does. And it's all
Mm-hmm.
kind of clash or kind of came together at the company I work with. I participated in a social equity campaign, but I was on camera. I was actually
Mm.
on camera speaking about being someone, and my position was being black in America was my position that I got to speak on. And it was just really nice to be use my creative side at
Mm.
work in my IT space. You know what I'm saying? It was just something I never thought would happen at work. I always think
Mm.
that I got to do that stuff outside of work, but it came together and they thought I did an exceptional job. And now everybody's like, they know I do movies. Like they're like, oh my God, you do movies? I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it for 15 years. So it's just something I never thought they cared about. I just, or would even,
Yeah, it didn't like
yeah,
crossover kind of thing.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, IT and movies. Like it just wasn't anything. But
Mm-hmm.
now they're like, that's so cool. Like everybody thinks it's just like so, so
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
like, these are like good movies. These aren't
Yes.
yeah, so yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it.
What sparked the interest in being involved in film and producing movies? Because you produce and you write
Yeah,
and
normally I don't. So I'm a
okay.
storyteller. I
Okay.
don't normally it's not a imposter syndrome type thing here. It's just I
Mm.
really respect individuals that write dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And I call them writers, right?
Okay.
I'm a storyteller, so I have these ideas and these stories that I want to tell, but I don't normally write dialogue like, oh, Allison said to Lotten, I don't
Yes.
usually write that, but for Breaking Bounds, it was such a this film was something that has been in my head and I know the community that's targeted. So I was a lot more involved in the writing of it, like the
Mm.
actual dialogue. Cause I'm like,
Right.
nope, we don't talk like that. We don't say that. That wouldn't be believable. We would say this. Like,
Mm.
but yeah, so I write and produce and I finance and get involved in the financial aspect of my projects too, because I feel like you got to put your money where your mouth is, or however it goes. And maybe I said it backwards, but
No, you got it. You got
okay, right.
it.
Because it's like if people want to know if you would invest in yourself, and
Yeah. Hmm.
luckily, because of my position at my company, I'm able to have some funds that I can put into my projects to help get them off the ground.
Yeah.
So, but nothing. I mean, I am one of those people that believe that ideas are given to us and I just wanted to be the one that executed those ideas. The medium of how to get the message out could vary. But for this particular idea, it was through film. But I've done creative events, I've done fundraisers, I've done things that bring cultures together, so it's not always the medium of film. It might be I'm having a session, or, like just food, a gathering of food. So it's just ideas and ways to bring people together. And for this, it just happened to be movie was the medium that we used to get the message out.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like I feel responsible to, if the idea is there, I feel like I have to get the message out in whatever form. And that's it. Yeah. I never thought I would be like grow up and be like, I'm gonna be a producer when I grow up. That was nothing. I thought I was gonna be a dancer for MC Hammer. That was like
yes.
That was like my life's goal.
I love it.
Yeah, right? And that's not what happened.
Yeah.
So
yeah, things change,
Things change for sure.
For this project in particular, the Breaking Bounds film, you collaborated with writers for this. Were you the one that came up with the idea for the film, or okay, so it started with you and then it built from there?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Okay.
This one, I have a friend, and he's Senegalese and Muslim and gay. And probably the most beautiful man you would ever see in your life. Like, he's so handsome. And I met him, and I kind of knew he was gay, but he was really trying to be closeted. He had a girlfriend, and I know it was just to appease his family. And maybe a couple years later, I had told him, I said, this was before he actually came out. I knew he was gay. And I just said to him, I said, hey, I got this idea to do this film about how we as Africans treat the LGBTQ plus community. And I would like to consult you to get your thoughts on some real example, like real situations you've experienced. Cause, I don't have that firsthand experience, in a sense. And he said yes. And so we just started to talk about his parents. Like, he was just always so neat, and he's just like perfect. I mean, oh my God. Like, he is so perfect. And in the film, there's some things in there that when the writer was writing, I would say, oh no, say neat and clean and almost pretty. Like, say this, because this is who I was thinking about as we're writing the film. And my co-writer, Marvin Nelson, we had a meeting with our friend, and he would give us, talk about his life. And so we didn't do the story on him, because he wasn't out yet. He was still kind of dancing with his family as to, no, they're trying to ungay him, the Africans, they want to just, So,
right.
So I didn't think it was appropriate to tell his story per se, but I wanted to do something on the subject matter. So yeah, that was about the idea. Now, from the beginning to where it ended up, this like 99 different scripts. It's been rewritten 95,000 times. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh no, we can't have this. Like it's gone through drafts after draft after draft. And this is having conversations with people, right? So it's like we'll do table reads, and I'll invite some people to help out, and just like, what do you think? And then they'll be like, oh, I like this. But so it's it's really a community, a collaborative effort to get, for this particular project, it took a lot more individuals to help craft the story.
Yeah, that sounds like quite the process. Would you say that it was more of a back and forth or more of a process for this one than what you've done before? Or
this one was more of a process. It was more of a back and forth for sure, because I didn't feel equipped enough to even touch the subject. And I wanted to do it justice, do the community justice, but also not demonize or vilify our parents and our family members that have a different view of the community.
Right.
So it was really a delicate dance we had to do, I had to do in the film. So everything that has the African's perspective is something that I crafted, in a sense, like where it was like, I mean, obviously these are my aunts or my uncle or my father or my parents can take it as if this is, I took them and put them on screen. And then my brother, he's Black American, so he was able to, like, with the cross culture relationship where the Black girl is dating the African guy or trying to date him. It was really just our own experiences where he's like, he had a friend that was dating a Nigerian guy and the mom didn't like her. I mean, like, so it was just like real things. It's just, we just compacted it into us weaved it together, weaved the two stories together, and it's nice. I'm really, overall, people that they're happy with. It wasn't forced. It's a lot of emotion, a lot of laughter. I mean, just to touch on such a delicate topic, lot of laughter, a lot of emotions. Literally every emotion you can think of is in this film. From crying to laughing to anger to like what? Like it's just yeah, but not but tasteful, and so I'm really proud of the project. I've watched it 1,000 times.
Oh, awesome.
And I mean, I wish I was joking, but every time, even when we go watch the film and my daughter, she's can critique, she's like, "Mom, this is actually pretty good," so yeah, and
that's a good sign.
yeah, right. Like if she likes it, I know it's decent, because she would be like, "Mom, no,
right.
no."
Totally.
So yeah.
That's exciting. That's really wonderful. And it just recently came out too, right?
Yeah.
In July,
Yep.
is that right?
Yeah, it recently came out July 31st. Excuse me, July 14th. July 14th.
Okay. So just a
Yeah, I'm
couple
like
weeks ago.
31st. What am I thinking about? The 14th. Yeah, it was released on streaming with like Apple, Amazon. So it's like a VOD right now where you can rent it or buy it on a lot of television stations as well as the streaming platforms.
Oh,
And
awesome.
I'm really grateful for Vision Films for getting this out, because as an independent producer, it's really hard to get your projects out there. But they really enjoyed it. They watched the film and they actually were like, "Oh, okay, we could do this," So yeah. So we got a
Awesome.
long, strategy in terms of getting the film out domestically and internationally. But right now it's on a domestic, the U.S. and Canada release on
Okay.
Amazon, Apple, like Vimeo, Vudu, all those
Mm.
platforms. Yep.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How does the process work? Were you a part of the filming process as well, or in there pretty frequently, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
I was pretty obsessive, a little too. Yeah, it was a bit much. I'm sure my team, the crew, was like, "Lotten, will you leave us alone?" No.
Mm.
But I was on set every single day because I'm a producer as well. So this one,
Yeah.
we wrote it. I was one of the EPs on the executive producers on it, but I produced it. We did locations together. My team. I worked with this lady named Latoya Hunter. She produced it with me, and then Marvin, the writer. The three of us,
Mm-hmm.
we worked on it, and we went to scout out all the locations, which is good and bad. It's good because you're like, this is exactly what I want, but it's bad because you're like, this one, that you always want something better and bigger than your budget.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm.
so that
Yeah.
was the hard part, but it was, we
Yeah.
needed it to be well received and not look like an independent film. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah. Did you film mostly all in Chicago, or did you go elsewhere?
no, we did Chicago and
Nice.
its surrounding suburbs. Yeah. So, and we
Awesome.
did a lot in Hyde Park. There's an area called Hyde
Mm.
Park here that's really diverse. So it's like a community where actually a lot of interracial relationships and culture and interracial couples live here in
Mm.
Chicago. And it's just diverse. So we film a lot there, and it's a lot of successful young folks, in the area. So
Mm-hmm.
did that, suburbs,
Awesome.
all over Chicago.
Yeah, I've just been behind the scenes, like literally like doing work while filming is happening in a space, like, because I worked for the venue that they were filming out of. It's like, there's so much
Mm.
that happens. Like, I can't, that sounds like some long days, a lot of work.
Yeah, they are long. literally 12-hour days or longer. So of course we it's a SAG film, so we stuck to all the SAG rules, and we filmed it in 2021, so it was still COVID. We had to abide by all the COVID regulations.
Right.
I just really took it serious just to make sure everybody felt safe, but
Sure.
long hours. But it went by so quick. It was a
Right.
14-day shoot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Oh,
just
wow.
went by so quick. But, 14 days to shoot, but then, 8 months to make the movie, right? So we like
Right.
go shoot and then you take it and we go edit for eight months took us
Ugh.
about 8 months or so to finally get the
Wow.
finished product.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting to hear. Like, oh yeah, 14 days that's exciting though. Yeah. And
Yeah.
congratulations on getting that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy. It's like each phase is literally something to celebrate, getting the
Mm-hmm.
script done and actually getting a director, Mark Harris, that was interested in shooting the film. And I had a lot of women that were like producers. Our DP was director of photography was a woman. My producers, like we had a lot of women in key departments and things like that. So that was really exciting.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
And then getting it edited, then the trailer came out and everybody was so excited, then we did a little theatrical thing and got distribution. I mean, it's been a journey from 2021 to July 14th to get this film out. It's a long turnaround. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's quite the
hmm
process. Well, I imagine your next steps are continuing to promote the film and everything. What is on the horizon though that you're most excited about?
Well, specifically the film promoting that, it's been a little challenging because our actors are on strike, so they
That's right.
can't really promote it. And even if we get a waiver,
Right.
I think I don't even want to put them in a situation where they have to do something different or uncomfortable.
Mm.
So we just continue to promote it professionally. I'm working and progressing in my career at my firm. I have my next script has been drafted. Let me say my last, my third and final, the stories. Like I have 3 ideas that I wanted to tell, and my next script has been drafted. I don't know yet when it's going to be shot, but I'm sure that's going to take some iterations to get it to where I need it to be. But I'm looking forward to really seeing what my daughter does. Like she's getting her footing, so I'm ready to invest in her, meaning like whatever energy or time to have kind of let her flourish on. And yeah, so just doing a little bit more housekeeping in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
with my personal
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That all sounds like
Yeah.
wonderful things.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you
Mhm.
describe? I don't think I asked you. Can you describe a little bit what you do
Mhm.
at your firm? You do consulting, is that right? What type of consulting?
Yeah, I'm in technology consulting. So I specialize in a software where that's implemented to major corporations around the globe. So I
Mm.
work on global, like multinational projects, like big, long projects, 1 to 3 years sometimes.
Mm.
And so yeah, I manage teams, I manage projects, and so I pretty much produce every day at work, just bringing people together and getting things solved and putting out fires is pretty much what I do on a day-to-day basis. In tech, it's a unique space for women, and it's especially the space I'm in. It's a special software that not a lot of people are exposed to, so it's
Mm.
even more exclusive, I guess, in a sense, and it's
Yeah.
unique to have women of color, just women, period, in tech. And then this kind of technology that I'm in, where we're implementing these major softwares to companies all over the world, is also not a
Mm.
lot of women in that space, and women of color, of course. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Do you go in person to work or do you work remotely?
I work remotely mostly now because my clients in the last few years have been life science or pharma clients. So they tend to they're really good about keeping us away from them. But yeah, I go into the office, to see my team from time to time, and then I go to the client. But my client right now is in Europe, in Sweden, they're in Netherlands, they're like everywhere.
Mm.
So
Wow.
we do remotely. Yeah. So
Mm. That
yeah.
makes sense.
hmm
Yeah. Are there
Yeah.
specific things that you've run into being, since it's so like the amount of women and the amount of women of color within your space? Are there specific hurdles that you've come across that come to mind in that regard?
Yeah. I think we're tested a little different.
Mm.
Our skill sets are consistently tested. If I'm giving you advice on a tech or how you should run your business on something, they might question me a little bit more than they would if it was my coworker Jason or something, as an example. And that's just because they're not used to seeing people that look like me in these leadership roles. And for whatever reason, right? So we're kind of, we have to prove ourselves, to do a little dance in the beginning, like, oh, I've been doing this for 25 years. I might look 20, but I'm actually 48. Like, I kind of lead with my age, I lead with my experience, and lead with my years of service more so than I think any of my colleagues ever have to.
Mm-hmm.
And even if somebody says I've been a consultant for 3 years, and it's a male, it's like, okay, cool, he knows what he's talking about. I've been in consulting for 12 years. I've been in this space for 23 years, but it's like, wait, are you sure, Lotten? Like, what does Ramesh say? Or what is, so
Yeah.
it's something that it's just comes with unfortunately, it just comes with the job in a sense. And it's getting better. I mean, I've never seen so many women in my space in so long. And it's nice to have, even if it's 10, it's more than one. It was always one or two. I can go an entire project and maybe see one or two women, but these days might see 3 women on a project, or 10. I mean, there might be in other spaces in change management, or like, but not necessarily just a tech space, but it's still nice to see women on my projects these days.
Yeah, definitely. It's something about it that working with women, I mean, it's just a different energy. A lot of the times, not all the times, and nothing against men in general, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a different energy.
I mean, I need once in a while, and that's what's been nice is, I'm working on some ESG, environmental, social governance, type of initiatives. And I have shared with them that having more women, especially as I get older, I'm in the sandwich generation. I'm, getting ready to hit menopause and all these different things that I'm experiencing. It's nice to talk to a woman about that. Like, I'm like at work and it's like, I feel a little something. Like, it's just I can't tell a guy I'm having a hot flash, which luckily I haven't had a bunch, but it's just like, it's just nice to be like, we just get on really well, and we have a different perspective. I feel like we look at our teams a little bit different, from a woman's perspective. I mean, there's like some women that don't, they're pretty stern when it comes to their leadership style, but I just feel like it just gives another perspective, which is valuable, especially to me. I'm seeing the value of it more so now that I'm getting it than when I didn't have it. I knew I needed it, but now that I have it, it's like I can imagine not being able to work with women.
Yeah. Yeah. At first, you probably just, all right, this is what it is. And then you get a little bit of,
Yep.
Yeah. That makes
we
just
just adjusted as it was before, but now it's just like, oh no, I like this. I prefer this.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, Lotten, thank you so much for joining me on Take Notice. Is there anything else you'd like to share or that I missed asking you about?
just wanted to say to my team specifically, I had about 120 people on this project, that's specific, Breaking Bounds. And from the actors to the crew, they really gave a lot to this film because they believed in the subject. We were in tears, on set. And like I always say to them, I couldn't afford anything that they gave to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no amount of money that I could have paid them, or we could have paid them, to get the amount of effort and the quality and the passion that we got from them. So, Marvin, Latoya, and Mark, my team, our DPs, all the actors, Kenneth and Dawn, have Kenny, all of them, like, they literally invested in this project. And it's something we couldn't have done without every single, I mean, from the cleaning person, I mean, like, it's like every single person gave more than they were paid. You know what I'm saying? So we respected everybody and paid everybody, but I'm just saying, like, they did an exceptional job, and it's something I would never forget. Just grateful to them for that.
Yeah, the special projects and the creativity that goes into it. I mean, there's something about it when you have a whole team that believes in it, and then they go above and beyond, and there's nothing you could do to have them stop. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
exactly what we experienced, and
that's
it
wonderful.
shows, in the project when when people watch it, they can tell it was really
Mm,
cared for.
mm.
This film was cared for.
I look forward to watching it. I hadn't had the
Yay!
opportunity yet, so
Okay.
I have it on my list to watch. If folks want to connect or find you the easiest, what would you say that would be?
So for me, Lotten Yeaney is my, like just Lotten Yeaney. They can pretty much find me. And then everything from there on is with the film. I mean, I have Breaking
Perfect.
Bounds everywhere on my page.
Awesome.
So yeah, so Breaking Bounds, the movie, or Lotten Yeaney is on I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the major platforms. So yeah.
Awesome. And we'll put some very easily clickable things within our
Yeah.
show notes and stuff too. So
Thank
hopefully
you,
people will find you, find the
Allison.
movie. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, excellent job. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for joining us for Take Notice, Amplifying Black Stories. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share it with someone you know. Connect with us on social media. We would love to hear from you. We are at Take Notice Podcast. You can also find us at takenoticepodcast.org. Reviews help us reach more listeners, so please rate and review on your favorite podcast app. Take Notice, Amplifying Black Stories is produced, hosted, and edited by Allison Preisinger Higgins. Music by Version Big 5 featuring Darius Higgins. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for taking notice.
Saying that they're doing right, why they take away our human rights. They want to say they're on our side, with all of their smiles and their alibis.